We recognize that CVUUS gathers on land seized from the Western Abenaki people by European colonizers. We respect the Abenaki's spiritual relationship to the land and waters. The Abenaki word for water, by the way, is nebi, waters of the Champlain Valley. And the Abenaki name for Champlain was more descriptive, Pitonbok, waters that lie between, referring to their land and the land of their rival, the Mohawk. We are committed to building a peaceful and more just relationship with the Abenaki and to promoting knowledge about their history and culture. So today we learn two Abenaki words, nebi for water and Pitonbok for Lake Champlain. And maybe eventually we'll get together and really learn how to pronounce these words. So welcome, everyone. Good morning. And welcome to CVUUS, the Champlain Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. You are welcome here no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, and no matter what your background. And I want to tell you a little story that I heard this morning, and I want to give credit where credit is due. I heard this story from Chris Murphy, who heard it from John Barstow. So John was in the nursery talking with Emma, who is taking care of the kiddos in the nursery. And he was explaining to her about the mud outside, because today is mud communion. And he said there's some mud out there, and I'm actually going to be giving you that mud later on. And he said there was mud. And so we put a little in the palm of your hand as you go by. And she said, oh, Palm Sunday. So again, thank you, Chris and John, for that great story. If this is your first time with us this morning, there's a book that we'd love for you to sign just outside the sanctuary so that we can send you our weekly blasts and our newsletter and get to know you a little bit better. Each Sunday service is a little bit different. If anybody needs hearing assistance, we have some headsets at the back with our tech crew back there. You can go and get a headset from them. And another good thing is to, if you haven't already done so, put those devices in worship mode. My name is Becky Strum. I'm a member of this congregation. I'm a member of the worship team, and this morning I am serving as worship associate for our settled minister, the Reverend Barnaby Feeder, who will help us begin to feel and think about our newly adopted covenant, calling us to dismantle racism and other oppressions. And he's going to lead us and help us to begin to feel that and think about that. So in addition to Sunday services, there are many ways to make connections here at CVUUS, and you'll hear about them in our monthly newsletter and our weekly email blast. They're in the order of service. I'm going to highlight a few of this week's opportunities. First of all, this afternoon at 1 p.m. is an incredible concert of Ukrainian music, which last night I heard a little bit of the rehearsal, and it's going to be incredible. This Monday, the Affordable Housing and Addison County Group will meet at 7 p.m. in the Fellowship Hall. And I do want to thank everyone who helped us with the floor refinishing, helped us, and just remind people to, I'm wearing some soft shoes, a lot of you are, as the floor continues to cure. So many people went into making this service possible, thanks to Mary Hadley, Justin Boyer, Liam Batches Greenwood, Rich Wolfson, all on our tech team, and Abby I see back there on the camera, our choir, Ravel Allen and Marnie Wood for seasonal decorations, Brett Millier and Wesley Morgan for ushering, the Caring Network, Catherine Schloff and Ted Shy have provided refreshments for our social hour, and I invite everyone downstairs to join us for that, for all those goodies. And now we will have our gathering song, number 354, In the Gray, We Laugh, We Cry. So I think I was so excited to tell that story about Palm Sunday that I forgot to do the bowl. So I'm gonna do the bowl right now. So our call to worship today was created by the Reverend Barnaby, and it is kind of the first of a guided meditation, and he's going to be doing two others that will have another part to them. So maybe just think of that as I do this call to worship. The journey towards spiritual wholeness. You have arrived. You have arrived in a sanctuary for visions shared with you by the spirit of life-giving love. Imagine everyone arrives planning to regard at least one thing they experience today as a small miracle. Look around. Take a mental photograph of who else is here. Add in the faces of people you know would be here if they could be. Take one more mental photo, including people who have never been here, but whom you long to see. Picture anything that might lead you to say to a friend, if you could see this, or hear this, or taste it, or smell it, or move through it as the world, move through the world as this does, you would say, it is a small miracle. Imagine to yourself, and you may close your eyes if it helps, unwrapping a package carefully, already knowing it will be somehow related to your small miracle or to someone else's. Notice that the wrapping is beautiful and the product of a lot of hard work. Enough to make you slow down unwrapping in gratitude for being here now. Imagine now that everyone here and everyone you imagined here is preparing to move together in some fashion, any fashion, through a beautiful spring when small miracles blossom and grow in community, gaining strength from each other. Like the corn, beans, and squash indigenous people call the three sisters. Don't worry about what it looks like. Imagine how it feels. You have arrived for our journey. You have arrived. And now it's time to light our chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. I will help you with, I will read the chalice and it should be on the screen. And when I came up to check to make sure that the wick was good and all of that stuff, I noticed the plate underneath the chalice, which is a blue plate with Stars of David on it, in honor of the fact that Passover begins this Wednesday night. And I just love when they all come together, Easter, Passover, Ramadan, that just really is a very special time for me. So let us light the chalice. If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. Using a spark of hope, kindle the flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice.
No. Good morning. Good morning. I just want to say, I love this quilted wall hanging here. and I'm not sure if it's my connection to the choir and wearing the stoles, but I absolutely love that hanging. So today, first off, I want to thank Kate Gridley and John Barstow for leading our canvas this year and keeping us focused and motivated. I want to thank all those who support CVUUS in so many ways, your pledge being just one portion of your gifts. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible, but sorry, Barnaby. When preparing to speak today, I realized I could do an entire service on this topic because I want to connect you all to the amazing things I see happening here every week. I want to connect you to the fact that our operating budget is the lifeline to everything we do here and in the wider community. But for some brevity, I will stick to the dry facts. As Kate pointed out last week, discussion regarding the operating budget can make us glaze over. Financially, CVUUS is in good shape. We have a building reserve fund with about $100,000 and a small endowment fund we're trying to grow, which currently has about $40,000. Each June, the board presents to the congregation a balanced operating budget, which is a good faith estimate of the expenses we will incur for the coming fiscal year and how we expect to cover those expenses. Coming from a background myself, both of municipal government and retail management, I can assure you that balancing the budget here at CVUUS is much more difficult. A municipality will look to all possible avenues of revenue, but will set a property tax rate based on the needed income. In retail, managers will look for ways to control costs and promote products, but will set product line markups based on projected income. Here, we do not have these options. We start the process of creating a budget and then depend on the outcome of the canvas to know if we can balance that budget or not. The generosity of this congregation is phenomenal. I have not seen a time here when the congregants have not stepped up to make special projects happen. This sanctuary is a testimony to that fact. The Ann Ross Fellowship Hall is another example of our commitment. We've also had an increase in gifts received in the past couple years of designated purposes. 45,000 in fiscal 2021 and another 22,000 in fiscal 21-22. This is fantastic, it's amazing, and it's enormously appreciated. But even though these designated gifts are an important part of our fiscal stability, they do not necessarily help us balance the operating budget. I am reminded that whenever we have taken on a capital campaign, our consultants who help us to determine the feasibility of raising the funds we want, we always have to stress that pledges to the operating budget come first. So now, coming back together following a pandemic, I think we all need to be reminded of this. Although I would never want to discourage the generous gifts designated for a specific cause, I would like us to look at our annual pledge from a different perspective. The operating budget is just that. It is how we operate. It is how we roll. If you would make a special gift to sustain a particular program or would contribute to a special fundraiser to support the music or the RE programs, if you would consider a donation to make a mortgage payment, if you would step forward to make sure our staff are fairly compensated and that our facility is well maintained, then I'm asking you to do that now, but not as a designated gift, but as a pledge to the operating budget. The operating budget is the interdependent web where each line item supports every other line item. It's how we operate, it's how we roll. This year, our ask for the annual canvas is large. It is approximately 21% more than we received in pledges and gifts at the end of fiscal 21-22, which was $275,893. It is 12% higher than what we budgeted for our current fiscal year, which is $296,300. My purpose for speaking today is to encourage everyone to make their pledges as soon as possible. With the snow in the air, it may feel like the annual meeting in June is far off, but as Kate and John indicated, we have reached about 2/3 towards our goal. This represents approximately $100,000 short of covering what we consider a fairly basic budget that we would like to present to the congregation. The finance team will have one more regularly scheduled meeting in April before submitting a proposed operating budget to the full board. The board will then have to finalize that budget in May to warn a June meeting. So the board will be looking at a dry, mundane spreadsheet of numbers, and they will be determining how to make the expenses match projected income, and they will only have the total figure of pledges received to work with. So the sooner we know your pledge, obviously, the better. If you pledge annually, please consider raising your pledge or providing a special gift. We still appreciate Got You Covered gifts to help those who continue to struggle financially, but give abundantly of their time and skills to support CVUUS in other ways. And remember that sustaining members can increase their pledge at any time during the year. Another perspective to consider is why you pledge. There were times in the past when I was canvassed and I was asked, consider the benefits that CVUUS provides to me. What is that worth to me? But now I like to consider more when I'm considering my pledge, what I'm leaving for the future, that it's not just about me and what I get. What am I building for the future generations? So I'm asking you all, make your pledges as soon as you can, and I would say Mary Hadley has generously offered to be in the Ann Ross Fellowship Hall after the service to help you if you would like to do any online pledging or if you have any questions about that or how to do that. And so thank you all very much.
Hi, everybody. The choir will now sing From Among You, so you'll get the experience of what it's like to stand among the ranks of the choir. This is a little arrangement of Peter Amidon's I'm Gonna Lift My Sister Up. It's a very simple little song, and we invite you to join in if you pick it up. So here we go, choir.
Sister up, she is not there. Hi, everyone. We begin each week by acknowledging that we are on the land of the Abenaki people. When I think of the story that history tells about these lands and the people that walk upon it, I think of the stories that have been lost in the erasure of once resilient Native communities. I wonder how our modern community can heal from this legacy. Recently, planting seeds to start my vegetable garden is a visceral reminder of the history this land holds. The seeds have slowly grown into vibrant green sprouts from their tiny plastic containers that line the south-facing bay window. People and patient and consistent attendance from me keeps these tender plant beings from withering and disintegrating back into the soil. There is a symbiotic engagement between me and the plants, a cycle embodied by nature that I am often so far removed from as I participate in this modern society. This rhythm reminds me of what it takes to grow and to thrive, and it also serves as a reminder of the work and the time it takes to renew, replenish, to mend, and to heal. Which brings me to the introduction of our new donee for the month of April, Abenaki Helping Abenaki, Inc. AHA is an organization that uplifts the needs of the Nulligan Band of the Kusuk Abenaki people with projects addressing food security, housing, healthcare, hunting and fishing rights, and employment, while preserving their culture by applying their traditions and values through this work. This is a time to honor our relationships with our marginalized and vulnerable communities. Allocating necessary resources can continue the important and brave work they do. It is important to do the work and give time it takes to renew, replenish, to mend, to heal, and to maintain these networks if we are to build a more fair and sustainable future. Thanks.
Can we stand in body or spirit to receive the offering and appreciate the generosity of this congregation? I have two milestone cards, but I'm going to start off with something that's not on a card. We had an incredibly wonderful, fun potluck yesterday, and it was our first potluck since COVID. So yet one more sign that things are heading back to normal, and that's a milestone worth celebrating. We also, last Sunday, had an unfortunate incident here Sunday afternoon after what seemed to me, looking at it online, was a beautiful service about transgender rights. I was away preaching that morning at the Jericho congregation, and I really want to thank all of the lay leaders who put on that service. But that afternoon, our pride flag was ripped down and stolen, and some of you have seen my response on behalf of the congregation and the board in either Front Porch Forum or in the Addison Independent. But that doesn't mean that those words are adequate for everything that was felt by people in the congregation. So I have a card here from Lynn Ballman I'm going to share, and then I'm going to do something which we don't normally do. I'm going to say if anyone else in the congregation feels that the way this landed on them gives them a reason that they need to share in this time of milestones and passages, we will bring a microphone to you for you to do that. But Lynn says, as a gay woman, tearing down our beautiful pride flag does not even dent my truth. I know this aggressive act comes from a place of ignorance and fear. While I have lots of time and energy to teach this person, I admit that mustering my full compassion is a challenge. Now, in our public response as a congregation, of course, I wanted to emphasize our dedication to bringing compassion to it, but that doesn't mean that any individual is obligated to be in that place right now, having experienced that. So I really appreciate Lynn for having the courage to share this with us. Thank you. Is there anyone else who feels a need to speak out at this time? There are going to be other ways that you can. When we get the new flag, we will have some sort of ceremony rededicating it to put it up, and that will also be occasion. But if it's on your heart right now and you want to speak, please raise your hand or stand.
I moved this morning. I meant to put a yellow card in, but in the wake of this incident...
Who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Head shy. In the wake of the flag incident and disheartening of that, I have to say how incredibly heartened I was, and some of you probably also, to have gone to Montpelier on Friday and to have heard the unbelievable courage that it took for these kids, some elementary age kids, to stand in front of a microphone and share their journey as a trans youth. It was heartening and utterly inspiring and remarkable. So I think that fits.
John Barstow. I just want to add that the service preceding this act is one of the greatest testimonies to the strength and commitment of this congregation. I want to thank particularly Elio, who opens my mind and heart more and more. Blessed be. Thank you.
I appreciate two things in our response. One was the compassion and the openness that maybe somebody took the flag because they needed it to march in Montpelier, and they couldn't afford their own. So I appreciated the compassionate, open-ended way of viewing the perpetrator. I also appreciated, let's make sure we as a congregation make our statement of how open and affirming we are, because you are just a godsend to my heart. The other part or aspect that our response didn't center on was as much people who are of the queer community and how an incident like this can trigger trauma and acts of violence that they have experienced. I've had some happen in my life when I was protesting for equal love in Australia and ended up with a bullhorn in my ear blasting all gays are going to hell and couldn't hear for 3 days. So, and then I'm thinking of all the students that I worked with in the middle school who were bullied in the hallways and how long that takes to recover from. And that something like this can make them feel unsafe. So it's that tri-fold response to the compassionate understanding of those that this wasn't just a flag being ripped down, this was a question of, am I in a safe place? Is this community a safe place to be? And we had a compassionate response to the perpetrator, and we affirmed our position as an organization and an institution, but what it means to other individuals of the queer community, let's slow down and talk with our friends.
Thank you. That was Liam, for those of you who are visiting. I have another yellow card here, and it's great to note that Terry Arnold is with us after so long away on the West Coast. The reason Terry's with us, Terry's at the back there, is that she's coming home with very, very mixed feelings to sell her house here. And so this is a very hard journey for her. And if you see her downstairs in social hour, feel free to come up and talk to her about that and what that means to her. Because she told me earlier, her spiritual heart is right here and is going to stay here. So there are always unspoken joys and concerns and sorrows, and I usually leave a fairly lengthy time of silence for people to get in touch with those. But today, I want to guide us with a meditation into this space of what we're going to do with this social action covenant that we passed. And my purpose here is not to say that we have to get started doing this act or that act. It's for us to understand through visiting the feelings and the openings this covenant provides to us that this is something we can live with and live into. So I think some of the most important work is not getting together a committee to plan a bunch of actions, but it's to bring the congregation over and over again to all that this social action covenant opens up for us as to who we intend to be in the years to come. So this section, this guided meditation, is called Beloved Community. For those of you familiar with the Social Action Covenant, it actually starts off talking about how we are going to journey towards beloved community through building a multicultural, diverse, beloved community that accountably dismantles racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Beloved community, you in this room and online are here, but it isn't yet. But it isn't not here either. Picture yourself experiencing beloved community. It's a prayer for wholeness. Wholeness for all who suffer and have touched love in any way. From all who suffer and have touched love in any way. Reaching toward us from everywhere on earth. Recall how you came to know what we've promised each other, that it is our intention to create a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. Imagine something you've named in your intentions that aspires to bring love of any sort, into the world. Picture it like a baby forming in you that will bring love into your world that isn't here yet, but isn't not in you yet either. Perhaps like a seed in a garden whose bounty you will share. Now recall something else you once named in your intentions and held close so faithfully, something that moved in and through your hands so faithfully that it came to pass. Whisper the name of what you recall as accomplished, softly enough that only you can hear, and recall it more fully. Now imagine two friends on either side of you holding your hands named clarity and honesty. Ask yourself, what about what you accomplished that came to pass made someone else, someone less fortunate and different from you, in some way feel more at home in the world? Picture how it played out for them. Be gentle with yourself. If you don't know for sure, call to mind what about your accomplishment probably made someone less fortunate than you feel better. Whisper a brief name for what you recalled, just loudly enough for your nearest neighbors to hear. Imagine a Sunday morning where our entire service consisted of sharing a few of our completed intentions and taking care to notice how different they are from each other and how similar. Imagine the possibility of that future service as an unwrapped present. Imagine yourself making a copy of this good news that this is possible and that you have often made the world better to store in the pockets of your mind and heart. Feel yourself rich with intention, overflowing with intention. Remind yourself that the most open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed of your intentions are be lovable. Say to your neighbor, in fact or in your heart, I need your help and more in coming to know which of my intentions are in fact experienced by others as be lovable. And now let us say aloud after me, those be lovable intentions I cannot complete. Alone, I share with you, now and forever. I leave you with the words of the Reverend Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who died in a concentration camp in World War II. The person who loves their dreams of community will destroy community, but the person who loves those around them will create community. Let's sing Spirit of Life, twice through. I have one more guided meditation, and I'm going to sharply abbreviate it because the service needs to be wrestled to the ground a little bit in terms of length. It was called How's It Going? And specifically, it was about how's it going in understanding the accountability part of our new social action covenant. I think I'm going to find another way to get this one out to you. But here's how it ended. Breathe. Hey, we're still breathing. That's how it's going. And we made some promises that are meaningful if we keep them. Let's get going. What we're really going to get going on, though, is the mud communion. So the mud communion is normally done in this sanctuary for those of you who've never been through it. And we have people come up and get mud on their hands that represents being stuck in your life, which sometimes happens to us metaphorically, but often happens to us one way or another, literally at this time of year, at least temporarily. And so after hearing people gripe about mud season for my first 2 years here, I said anything people are griping about that much really should be the subject of a ritual and a liturgy. And we invented mud communion. And this is what it's evolved into. People come up and they get some mud on their hands to represent the stickiness, and they went to either side of the sanctuary, had it washed off, and had a blessing read to them. Well, normally our sanctuary floors are redone in the summer, but they were done this week. And they're still curing, as some of you saw in the notes. And the idea of having a little bit of mud dripping all around the sanctuary, it just didn't seem like the right thing to do to the people who had worked so hard on making sure the floors were in shape. So we've revised the mud communion, and this is how it's going to work this year. It's not going to be in the service. We're going to sing "Wake Now My Senses," and then we're going to start the mud communion. And I'm going to invite people to go out that front door there, and Becky will be there to greet you. In fact, Becky, maybe you'll just mosey on out there while we're singing the... and Becky will provide you with the mud there at the beautiful... It's a great year for mud. This is some of the best mud we've ever had. But then you'll go downstairs via the elevator or the stairs, and there will be stations right there for you to have your hands washed and to receive your blessing before social hour. So that's how it's going to work. Let's sing "Wake Now My Senses," and then we'll proceed right into the mud communion. So Ronnie is going to play you a short postlude, and then I invite you to go out and get the mud. Those of us who are doing the blessing can proceed right downstairs at this moment so that we're ready for people when they arrive.